this is CapCAN Notes, the official podcast of the Capital Area College Access Network. We're excited to engage the community in conversations about college access. I'm your host, Eric Cashman, and AmeriCorps Vista, serving with CapCAN. Joining me is CapCAN's Executive Director, Michelle Strauss, and our guest, Dr. Stephanie Anthony, Director of the Office of College Access Initiatives with MSU. So let's get started. First of all, Dr. Anthony, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you. It is truly a pleasure. I appreciate the invitation, Eric and Michelle. Thank you for having me.
We're happy to have you too. So we begin all our podcasts with a personal story of who encouraged you to continue your education beyond high school and why was it important to you? Could you tell us about that?
My family encouraged me to go beyond high school. I have two sets of grandparents, as do most people, and one set went to the 3rd and 6th grade respectively, and the other went to the 8th and the 11th grade. My grandparents, two of them were of African-American descent, and the other two were of West Indian descent. It's a tradition in my family based on those 4 grandparents. Everyone goes to college. Between them, they had 11 children, 3 on one side and 8 on the other. And 10 of those 11 got college degrees. They ended up being nurses and doctors and therapists and business professionals. Everybody went to college. The only one that did not was my uncle, who was with the U.S. Navy as a master chief, and he was with them for 42 years until he retired. But it is a tradition. It was a push for it. And there was a mindset that you have to push forward so that you can make a better life for yourself and set an example for your children, make a better life for them so that they too can continue to push forward. And college is an opportunity to do that.
What a great legacy for your grandparents to share that with your family. And I'm assuming that continues with now grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren. So
yes.
That's exciting. That's so cool. So you primarily work with underrepresented students at MSU. Can you tell us a little bit about what challenges these students may face as first generation students and why it's important for us as a community to support them?
Well, there are many challenges for students across the board. So I think I should definitely say that. And just because one is not a first generation student does not mean that they don't have challenges, because being a student and excelling in today's world is a challenge. That being said, some of the things that I believe make it more of a challenge for first generation students would be the fact that maybe no one in your family has ever walked that post-secondary path before. So you are a pioneer of sorts. That is a challenge. The research has shown that it is helpful if you can look at someone else having made those steps. And when you don't have that, it's a difference. I think there are also financial challenges that meet many of our students as they struggle to continue forward. There might be a lack of support in your immediate environment. Some families may feel that college is a waste of time. I have counseled with students who have shared with me that their cousins or whomever thought that they were really stupid to keep going to school after graduating. And that was the word that this one particular individual used in terms of stupid. And I said, not at all. You're a pioneer. You're a pioneer. There is also a fear of failure. There may be a lack of self-confidence. That may be a factor. There are financial barriers. Sometimes people just haven't considered the possibilities. So those are just some of the challenges that I've encountered or that I see that exist at times for students.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we certainly hope to improve that mindset. We've been doing research on, how to engage students and how to encourage them to go to college, especially when we now know that mentors and other figures in people's lives are so important. So that's very closely related to what CapCan's trying to do. So Upward Bound is one of the major programs focused on these underrepresented youth. Could you tell us about Upward Bound and what does success look like for students involved in this program?
Upward Bound is an opportunity to provide students from the 9th through the 12th grade with pre-college development and training, if you will, to get them ready mentally. It helps to also provide them with additional tutoring services. It also helps with mentoring. We have students that will attend and they come on campus and they go to school throughout the entire year. They go to school after school and again in the summer. So it's helping to prepare those students so then when they hit that college, whatever college they've chosen to go to, they are ready and they know that they can do it because they've already done it in some form or fashion. So success for an Upward Bound student is basically that feeling when you go to campus, and even though you have that knot in your stomach that fall after you graduate, you know, because you've seen what you can do and you've seen what others have done.
It's always great to be able to practice safely, right?
Yes.
Whatever new thing you're
Yes.
learning. So, yeah, for sure. So you talked a little bit about who is eligible for the Upward Bound program. Can you explain a little bit more the requirements and the application process for our listeners so they can share this with young people that they may be working with?
Each year, there is an application process that begins in the fall. Typically, that would be in October. And it goes for probably about 4 or 5 weeks or so. Students get an opportunity to apply, and then we review applications to see if a student has demonstrated that they're focused, that they realize what it entails. We do look at GPAs, but that's not the final barrier, obviously. We will accept students with GPAs in the 2.0 range. We're trying to help individuals that have promise, that have potential and desire. That's important. Additionally, in terms of requirements, a student must be first generation or low income. We do have students that also come from refugee or immigrant backgrounds, so those are factors we look at, but generally it's first generation, low income backgrounds. So those are the criteria.
So if I'm a parent or I'm a teacher helping a student apply for the program, are there some things that I should be mindful of, or things that I should coach students on in the application without writing it myself, right?
Yes, no, we don't want you to write it yourself. Okay, yes. We do look at transcripts, as I mentioned, we pay attention to grades, but we also want to know a student's maturity level. So students are requested to, they have several topics and they can select from one or the other to talk about what matters to them, who is the most important person in their life and why. We do also go in and we have students request reference forms be filled out from teachers whom have seen their work, who know what they're capable of. So a parent, I think, would be well advised to talk to their students and ask them the questions that might come up in our survey. You know, what are your thoughts about the utilization of drugs, and how do you feel about what things you might change in your school environment currently and why? Or who is the most important person in your life and why? We want to really take a look at young people's critical thinking skills and the potential that they present.
Yeah. And again, this is good practice for completing an application for college and some of those essay questions that students might have to complete for
Absolutely.
scholarship or the application itself.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
So, could you tell us a bit about the work of other college access initiatives at MSU? Do you have any events or summer programs that may be coming up also?
Yes, we also have King Chavez Park's College Day program, which exposes students to colleges more on a short-term level than the Upward Bound, which is a year-round program, so to speak. But in addition to that, with that program, we start in middle school and we go right up to high school. And actually have a foot in the door there as well. And then we have Talent Search, which works with high school students providing tutoring. And we also will take Talent Search students to various campuses. We do campus tours. And so that also is a different type of feel for some of the initiatives that exist in our programming. We have another program called Us at MSU, which represents underrepresented students at Michigan State University. And what we do with that is we send support mechanisms related to advising, to counseling, to resources. We send information to students all year in different formats, primarily newsletters, information that we believe would make things a little bit smoother for them or would help them to deal with some of the challenges they might be encountering. And as one of the arms of us at MSU, we also work with faculty. We send faculty information. Here are some tips when you are interacting with a student from an underrepresented background. What is different about this student? And we'll actually break information down and say this may be helpful. Or did you know? And we'll send statistical information for faculty in that way, for them to stop and think about there are a broad range of students in their classrooms, and for them to stop and think about what makes an underrepresented student a little bit different and how that faculty might be able to engage them. And we also get tips. Our faculty is great. I'm a little biased, but our faculty is great about these things, and they look to go that extra mile to make sure that students have the support they need. So for underrepresented students at MSU, faculty will send us tips. Please tell your students, as an example, when they're in my class, that they would do well to utilize my office hours. And before they come to my office hours, the students should detail 3 questions that they'd like to talk to me about. It indicates interest and desire on the student's part, and it helps us to get a conversation going about how I can help that young person even more.
I didn't know that you were doing that level of engagement with the faculty and staff. So that's exciting, actually. That's a much broader benefit than just the specific programs that traditionally we knew that MSU offered in the community. So I think if people are listening and want to get more information on accessing those resources, are they also available in the community or just for the staff members at MSU?
Well, right now with us at MSU, we're focused on staff members at MSU, but we do believe that this is a cooperative process that helps our communities across the board when we work together. So of course, we would make that information available to any educational institution around that wanted to know, or wanted to be a part of our list. We absolutely would. We work together if it benefits our students.
Great, great.
Mhm.
So what other initiatives or impact are you having on student success? So we talk a lot about persistence and completion. What are your programs outcomes, I guess, related to future attainment of these young people that participate in Upward Bound, Talent Search, et cetera?
So in terms of can you give that question to me one more time, Michelle? I just want to make sure I understand exactly.
Yeah. So obviously you bring these students in primarily when they're in middle school and high school, and then you hopefully encourage them to make that transition to college. What outcomes are they experiencing as a result of being engaged with your programs? And are they, persisting to graduation?
Well, I will tell you this, 100% of our students in the last 4 years have completed 100%, at least as far, we don't have the most recent year, but everybody graduates. It hasn't been a case where we've had 14 students that simply did not finish. So that's something that we're really proud of. In terms of college going rates, we're right about 90, 91%. But the numbers have kind of dropped a little bit with the with the pandemic. There's
Mhm.
just no getting around it.
Mhm.
And students have shared that financial was an area that they were concerned about, or just really dealing with depression or sadness about, I don't know if this is a time for me, I just want to take some time. Or some people have said maybe wanting to work to be able to help their family. So that has definitely had an impact on our outcomes. But prior to, we were aiming at actually about 96, 97%, but it has
Right.
dropped a little bit.
Yeah, and that's consistent with our experience in the community as well. So
Okay.
I don't think anybody's surprised at this point. But I think we know what works. Obviously, you've got a long history at MSU of what works, and getting back to some semblance of normalcy and how we provide these programs will ultimately help students get back on track and be able to follow through.
Yes,
Great, thank you.
thank you.
So it seems like we're coming to the end of the interview, and I have one last question. We end every interview with hashtag CapCanKnows, where you state your name and what you know. So I ask you, Dr. Stephanie Anthony, who are you and what do you know?
My name is Stephanie Anthony, and I know that College Access Initiatives is prepared and ready to serve the needs of underrepresented students, our students at large across the board, regardless of age. All you need to have is the desire, and we will jump in there and advise and coach and support you in every other way possible. That's what I know.
Great. And how, Stephanie, can students get more information if they'd like to apply to any of your programs?
I would give them I'll give you my email. They can email me directly, anybody that wants to reach out. And that's antho105@msu.edu. ANTHO105@msu.edu.
Great.
And I welcome any questions parents might have as well.
We will include that in the slides at the end of the podcast. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. It's just an honor, and I really appreciate you having me as your guest today.
Oh, no, I'm so delighted to learn that you've got more to the network than what I originally assumed. So good.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. So I want to thank you, Dr. Anthony, for coming on to the podcast to chat with us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
For more information on CapCAN, please be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Links will be in the video description below, or visit our website at capcan.org. Thank you all for listening to us today, and we will see you again soon.